So let's talk about Easter. So there is so much esoteric foundation to the holiday of Easter. There is Sumerian imprints, there is pagan imprints, there is obviously Christian imprints, and all of these combined have created what we know as the Easter egg holiday that we have now. Every addition to this holiday continues to amplify it. I think that's the best way to visualize it. Instead of feeling like it has to be 100% pagan or 100% Christian, we can combine all of these esoteric truths into understanding what Easter is for today. First of all, let's talk about why Easter is always ever changing. So like Christmas is the 25th of December. That is consistent. We know other holidays that are consistent, but Easter is different. Why is that? Because Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. Okay? I don't know if that sounds pagan to you, but it sounds a little pagan to me when we're using the moon to make the holiday. In the pagan traditions, Easter is the celebration of the goddess Ostera. I think I'm saying that right, Ostera, which is where we get that word Easter. Ostera, Easter, yes. She is the goddess of fertility and springtime and new life and new growth. And so, of course, it's going to make sense that Easter is around that spring equinox time. Some people will celebrate this holiday on the actual spring equinox. However, there was also a Sumerian goddess of Ishtar, which was also a goddess of love and fertility and beauty. So we have the word Ishtar and we have the word Ostera. Of course, we're going to get Easter. So that's where we get the word Easter. We have the Sumerian roots, we have the pagan roots, and we have continual time where words start to change. And of course, key themes here with these two goddesses is the energy of fertility, the energy of fruitfulness. And so these two goddesses were known kind of for that springtime, for the things that were coming forward. We had birds that were starting to hatch, so that's where we get that egg symbolism. We have new animals that are start to be born. And I think the goddess Ostera was, or Ishtar, I don't remember which one, but they were also known to be a hare or a bunny. So that's where we get that bunny and that egg symbolism, starting from way back to the Sumerian and the pagan traditions. So the springtime itself is a representation of rebirth, because winter is the representation of death through the natural cycles of life. So this holiday specifically is very connected with natural living and the natural cycles of life. This holiday is the celebration of death to life. For many, Easter is the celebration of rebirth of the sun after winter has passed. So we have more time with the sun after the spring equinox, coming into new moments of fruitfulness and fruition. So of course, this is going to be the rebirth time to be alive. And similarly, going into the understanding of Christianity, this is the death and rebirth of Christ, of Jesus, okay? So Jesus is the physical representation of what is happening in the natural cycles of life. Jesus is someone that is very works a lot with the natural cycles, works with the natural symphony of life, if you will. And so Jesus was a physical representation of this death to rebirth, a dying to self, a dying to the old version of me, dying to the winter part of me that needs to be let go, and coming in to the new version of me, one that is excited for what is coming forward in the future, ready for that fruitfulness to continue to serve and love on the world. Jesus is a representation of this. They all coexist. There is no separation between paganism and Christianity and Sumerian understanding. They're all together. And here's another thing I don't think a lot of people know, is that the story of Jesus is actually not a unique one. This story of being born of a virgin, going through life's hardships, and ending up being crucified or killed by the people that wanted them to thrive. This is a story that has been played out on earth for many other times. In the ancient Egypt, we have Horus. We also have Dionysus and others that are are playing out through the earth that have witnessed and told this story many times over. So this story, this specific story of the way that Jesus played his life out, is so similar to many others. And why is that? Because the story of Jesus, the story of Yeshua, the story of Horus, the story of Dionysus, these are stories of the natural state of being. This is a story of awakening. This is a story of opening your mind up to the higher abilities that you have to heal and to love and to be in harmony with life. And yet the world tends to hate that energy. Okay? So the world was the one to crucify all of these people. The world was the one to say, we don't like you any longer. And so as we're in this second coming now, as we as beings are the Christ energy moving forward, we have to be aware of that pushback and that separation. But now that we know that there's so many of us living out this same story, that it's not just one individual of Jesus that can play the story out, but all of us have the ability to be just like him and even greater. That's what he said in the Bible, that we can be greater. We can do greater things than him. It is our opportunity and our time to actually fulfill that prophecy, because it is time for us to come together in the unity of Christ's consciousness and know that we have the power to heal ourselves and to heal the world around us. It's a very beautiful time to be alive. And again, each of these stories all give us different insight on what the importance of this holiday is. And it seems, because there are so many different origins to this holiday, so many different examples of this holiday, it has to have a deep importance. So let's just be aware of the importance of spring coming into fruition, understanding ourselves and understanding this rebirth happening. So some people also say that this is the resurrection of the sun. The sun is now coming higher and is staying longer. So that's an example of the resurrection of earth. We also have the death of winter, so dying of those crops and coming back, resurrecting with the sun, bringing more fruitfulness, and even bringing the rain here in that springtime area. So we'll go into a couple different religions here. So we have Ramadan as well, and Ra is the god of the sun, a worship of the sun, the resurrection of the sun. We can go into the Passover as well before the liberation. The Passover is this passing over of death. So passing over of death and resurrection. All of these things have a same origin. They have the same origin, and yet they kind of played out in their own way. They're all still around the same time of Easter. The other thing is that this is the time of Aries. So Aries is actually arise. So this is the arising or the raising of the grave, arising from ourselves and awakening from within. This story of Easter is a story of awakening. Jesus is the story of awakening, of rising from within and understanding the true strength of who you are. Let's go back into the story of Jesus. So today is Good Friday. If you're watching this is Good Friday. The death, the resurrection, moving then into this 3 nights of just stillness, of that internal dialogue, that internal conversation. And this happens to a lot of us that are going through spiritual awakenings as the dark night of the soul. So Jesus is going through this dark night of the soul, really addressing that internal energy, that internal darkness. But Jesus had to experience it at a different level, right? There was a higher mission here. But a lot of us can see this as an analogy of going within, searching within, going into the depths of the darkness and saying, okay, how can I find my power in this? And then using that power to liberate yourself back up into the awakening, back up into the highest state that you've ever been. And that's why Jesus comes back in a much more liberated way, able to transcend past the 3rd dimension due to that intense amount of understanding within, right? So a lot of us are going through this spiritual awakening right now, waking up to these higher dimensions, going through these dark night of the souls, feeling into our shadows and rising up again into this new energy. So this is a very, very beautiful time to be alive, no matter if you celebrate Easter at all. I think there is some importance in understanding why there is so much esoteric truth behind this holiday. So, some last questions. What are some things that you are releasing from yourself from, the past version of you? What are you looking into and dying to and saying, hey, that is not something that serves me any longer. I don't feel like I need to be that person any longer. I can let go of these old truths that no longer fit with the version that I want to become. And two, what is the energy that you do want to become? Who are you becoming? Who are you raising into? And for some of you, baptism might be a great a thing for you to visualize and really feel into this transformation of rebirth. And that's another thing, another symbolism of rebirth is baptism, death, and rebirth. So this type of conversation of death and rebirth has continued to be in our esoteric truths over and over and over. No matter where it comes from, God is going to work through any type of religion, any type of truths in general, any type of passed down conversation, because God energy and truth is going to be found in everything. If you look hard enough, you're going to see it. And it is not our job to separate wherever God is at and say, hey, this one is the absolute truth, or this one is the absolute truth, or this one is the absolute truth. What we can do, though, is take from every single aspect and every single corner of where God has been and say, hey, this is pretty cool. Let's take a look at this message and self-reflect on what we need to do here. So really self-reflect on this esoteric truth of Easter and really embrace the newness coming forward this spring. I'm so excited for each and every one of you. So thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day. Mwah!